How's it going? Once again, this is Jose Trujillo. I'm a fine art artist, and I'm coming to you from my art studio. There's a corner here in my art studio. I come to you from several corners of my art studio. I think I turned my home into an art studio and the art studio into my home. Well, I laugh, but I don't think my wife would be very happy with that for much longer. Anyways, here we go. I'm going to paint today a landscape. Well, it's necessarily a landscape, but it's a road, a path, with some trees and a nice sky at the very end. You'll see, anyways. Let's go with it. Here we go. The message of today. It seems like I'm every time I'm painting, I'm giving you guys like these messages, right? Now the reason you guys see me paint with a brush is right now it's because I'm all about it. I'm all about the brush right now. Sometimes you'll see me change and go with the palette knife, but I don't know. I've been feeling the brush lately. Okay, so here we go, and. The message of today, Jesus, the message of today is going to be, guys, don't complicate it, okay? Don't complicate it. Keep it, well, guys and girls, sorry. Don't complicate it. It's not that complicated. Painting is not very complicated. Selling, well, that's a whole different thing. But painting is not that complicated. Painting is it's a bit of a, how can I say this? It's a little dance of what state of mind you're at, or where you dwell, and at least when you're painting, I'm not saying, you may be dwelling in a very happy place when you're painting, and then the rest of your life might be like, very chaotic or whatever, and vice versa, right? You might have a very stressful experience painting, but you're a very happy person, okay? The whole painting thing, there's a lot of thing happening around painting right now, which I think is very awesome. It's always happened, but right now I think because of certain publications and all that, it makes it even more available. Which is the whole trend, I would say, right, of plein air painting from in the open air. That's it's lovely. I think it's beautiful that people are able to say, you know what, I'm gonna take on painting, like. Like something for fun, right? Something that, like who would go, I don't know, climbing, or I don't know, something like that. I think that's lovely. I think that it's beautiful that people get to experience that, and without having the ideas of maybe, oh, I'm gonna turn this into a career. I see so many people that have great careers, right, in whatever fields they're at. They're lawyers, accountants, or doctors, and going plein air painting, under as a pastime, of course. And I think that's awesome. I think the more people experience this, of course, I'm not plein air painting right now, but I do plenty of that. I'm gonna start doing some videos, guys, to show you some of my plein air painting activities, because I don't want you guys to be like, oh, I call him shenanigans. He says he sells plein air paintings, but he's always in the studio. I market a lot of my stuff like plein air painting, just because that's how I normally paint, and then even when I go to my studio, I feel like I'm plein air painting too. So either way, don't get caught up in that kind of stuff. What matters more than anything is that you are doing it, or I am doing it with what is important, which is finding that. Here I go again, the buzzword, the je ne sais quoi. The zone, guys. Finding that zone. That thing that I'm gonna go paint, and you're happy, you're excited, it moves you, and not only you, or maybe you make a little painting or a big painting or whatever, and you give it to your mom or your grandson, or whichever, or whatever the situation may be. I think it's awesome. I think painting is quilting with paint. It's quilting. I think that's what it is. Some people quilt like very organized, extremely organized. I love seeing it. I don't quilt that way. Some people quilt like me. Some people quilt like Picasso. Nonetheless, guys, it's quilting. It really is. It's you're essentially quilting with paint. That's why I love it. I've mentioned to you guys before when Monet used to say it's patches of color. When I read that, when he said that, yes, I was standing behind him when he said that. No, when I read that, I was about, I don't know, 14 years old, I think. When I read that quote by Monet. I used to do a lot of plein air painting and studies around that age. Is when I started. I started a little earlier, but around 14, I already knew. I was a painter. I had already decided. I had this idea of myself as a painter, and I spent a lot of time doing that. But when I read that, I was like, yes, I know, I understand what you mean. Like it was natural to me. I understood what the expression of that he said. Painting is for him was filling up those patches of color. It's really that. Some people fill up those patches of color very technically, very technical, and some people don't. And it's just the personality. I've always been like, my mom's always like Jose, clean up your room, and I feel like, oh man, look, it even seeped into my paintings. It looks like I'm just kind of passing by. I don't know, but I've always been a very free spirit, in my own ways, and I think that with a bit of sense of what would it be? A little classic realism, a little thing happening there, But for the most part, I've always been I was like this as a musician too. Very free spirit, I would have the guys be like, you gotta stop this, man. I'm like, what? It just feels like you're just playing it by ear. And I'm like, because I am. Some musicians would get upset with me, but I didn't understand because people loved it. So I had no idea, like, who do I listen to? Let me see here. Do I listen to my fellow musician friends, or do I listen to the people who seem to really enjoy this? And that is how I approach my stuff, guys. I do it enough where I create an angle for me. I create a place for me. And of course, I start out by using the rules, and then I do it enough where I'm like, I really need to start breaking some rules. Because if I don't break them, I'm not going to move forward. I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to be the next guy who plays by the rules. And I don't want to play by the rules. I think there's too many people. That place is too crowded. That party's too crowded. I don't want to be there. I don't want to. I don't want to be able to be like I don't know, being next to one of those awesome artists, which I love their work and respect. But I don't want to be one of those guys who's like um, constantly talking and thinking about the tone and how you did it right. And I'm more interested in, did you have fun? Did you have fun? And if you're in business, I'm also interested in, did you sell it? That's also important. But if you're not in business, if this is not your thing, if you, like me, you're not supporting your family or whatever, then I'm more interested in looking at it and be like, hey, did you have fun? Because if you're doing it for that reason, there's no reason to get so technical. And if you're going to get technical, it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Then there's no reason to get so stressed about it. Because I know some people who are technical, very technical, and they are not stressed at all. So I'm not saying that because you're technical, you're going to get stressed about it. And I also know some people who are not technical at all, who are very free spirit, and live in a constant art, stressful art career, or whatever you want to call it. So I guess it doesn't have one thing doesn't have nothing to do with the other, but I don't know. Sometimes it looks like it does. Either way, here you go, guys. This is how I do it. Well, this is how I do it sometimes. Sometimes I do it differently. Nonetheless, don't get caught up in the. But last time your shadows were, well, because today's a different day, guys. The shadows are not always going to look the same. I have some people tell me that, like, oh, like the other day I saw you paint. Some people that come and visit me in the studio and they tell me, I saw you paint and your light was, more blah blah blah, more more subdued or however you say it. It wasn't as bright. It almost looked like it had a filter. And this time it looks so bright. It looks like you just, got the paint out of the tube. And I'm like, 'cause I did. It's a different day. Look, if you had a different day, which you do every day, and you had the chance to create a whole new world every time you paint, will you continue to create the same world over and over? Guys, you see where I'm going? Of course not. You would change it up. You'd say, I wonder what this would do today. And you would be present. Of course, you would keep a sort of like a pattern, right? Because we're like that. That's how human beings are. But you would, within that place, you'd still be like, I wonder what this button does. Childlike, that real childlike attitude. I wonder what this button does. And I wonder, and then the next day, kind of like Groundhog Day, like if you know that you can live forever and you can't escape it. For example, in this case, I'm making this comparison. I'm an artist. I'm always going to paint. I can't escape the fact that I'm an artist and that I'm always going to paint. Why paint the same thing over and over? Why not? And even if you're painting the same thing, the same landscape, doesn't matter if you're looking out the same window. Why not change it? Why not press different buttons and see what's happening and what you may be missing something. Anyways, guys, I'll leave you with that. The name is Jose Trujillo. I am the world's greatest living artist. I am sincere when I tell you guys that. You guys will hear more of me. This is just the beginning. Thank you so much for watching. Till next time.